What is going on? Just gonna wait for a couple of more people to jump in here and kind of go from there. But in this video, I'm going to be taking you step by step on how to really get your first property. And it really depends on what kind of property that you want to go with. But whatever your goal, this should be applicable to you. This is my first live, so bear with me. I haven't gone live on YouTube before, but obviously we're trying things out. So this will be posted on my channel, on the Tory channel. So make sure you go check out, subscribe, like, do all that good stuff on both of our channels. And I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes and see who jumps in, if anyone jumps in, and we'll kind of go from there. Otherwise, this video will obviously be available for replay and for other people to see after the fact. But hopefully you get it live. That way, if you're asking any questions, I can answer them for you, and you can kind of gain some knowledge in the here and now as opposed to trying to get it after the fact. So I might do this in two different segments. I'm not sure. So I might break this into a part one and part two. It'll kind of depend on how long I go here today, because I don't know how long it's actually going to take. I got my little cheat sheet right here of points that I want to hit, and we'll get it rolling in a few more seconds here, see if anyone pops in, and we'll do this thing. So I hope you're having a great day. Sean here. We're back at it again, making another real estate video for you. Again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Guys, when you like the video, it really pushes it out to the YouTube algorithm, and it's such a big help. So I really appreciate any and all support I can get. Share it with a friend who may need to see it. You know, tag people in the comments, do all that fun stuff, and it really is a big help. So really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. And we'll get this thing going. So how to buy your home, your first home, your first property in 2021. Well, the first place that I would really start is your mindset, right? That's where most of my videos go, and there's going to be some missteps in everything that I say here. I'm used to cutting up my videos and being able to make them look all nice and pretty, but you're getting the raw and real behind the scenes shots. So hope you enjoy. It really starts with your mindset. Um, how can you prepare yourself to get into the market, into buying your first property, whether that be your home, whether that be an investment property? And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. But really, you gotta prepare yourself for a competitive market right now here in 2021. You have to go into it knowing that, there's going to be other buyers there that are going to be putting in offers alongside of you. So you want to make yourself as competitive as you possibly can. And really, you just got to prepare yourself. Homes are flying off the shelves. Most homes aren't staying past the first open house of the weekend. And a lot of times, people are deferring all their showings to that first open house. So it's very important to um, make sure that you're being as competitive as you possibly can, and that's my job. You're supposed to come to your real estate agent for advice, take our guidance, and make an offer. That's again going to put you in the best position as possible. Um, okay. Um, so you may be asking yourself, all right, why is there so many people on the market? What's driving the market up right now? It's two things. One, it's the lack of inventory. So there's not a lot of houses out there that are for sale, and that's just a fact. Inventory is down, so supply is low, demand is high, and that's all it really boils down to is supply and demand. But with that being said, the interest rates right now are so low. So that's going to allow a lot more buyers to afford homes and afford homes that they normally wouldn't be able to afford if the interest rates were higher. Lower interest rates equals a more affordable payment on a mortgage that is higher. So let me say that again. Lower interest rates make a higher priced property more affordable. So a lot more people can afford a house or a more expensive house. I hope that makes sense. Um, so that's what's really driving up the prices, because you get people that come in that really have this je ne sais quoi, that really have the ability to buy a home that they wouldn't have been able to afford, maybe a few years ago, maybe with a higher interest rate because that monthly payment's higher. So you're going to get a bunch of buyers on one house, all competing to get the house. And what's getting it done? It's really, higher price, putting more money in your offer, waiving contingencies, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But let's move on. So the next thing I would say for buying your home in 2021 really would be to ask yourself, what are my goals? You got your mindset down, you've prepared yourself what kind of market you're stepping into, and you know that no matter what happens, you're gonna get this done. You've already made the decision to buy a home, to buy a property. Now, what are my goals? Let's kind of reverse engineer this. What do I want out of this piece of property? So a couple of questions to ask yourself is, obviously, is it going to be a personal residence? Is it going to be a investment property? Or is it a combination of the both? My personal favorite style of real estate to deal with. I'm a big fan of house hacking. I've done a ton of videos on house hacking on the channel. You can go and view any one of those. I've done a lot of shorts recently. That's been more of my style. Shorts, because they're easier to do, and especially where I'm in a role of being an agent, I'm constantly on the go. My schedule is always not nailed down. So if I can bang out a short or two in a couple minutes or an hour or whatever, it's just a lot easier. So make sure you go check those out. But yeah, a couple of other questions to ask yourself. All right, let's say it is going to be your personal residence. Is it going to be my starter home? Have I ever bought a home before? Is it going to be my next home? Or is it going to be my forever home, really? Am I going to stay in this house for the rest of my life? And, I know that's kind of a tough question to ask yourself, especially where, you not you may not be, over a certain age. But again, just ask yourself this. Is it going to be a starter home? Is it going to be my forever home? Am I downsizing? What are your goals? Another good question to ask yourself would be, kind of picture yourself inside of this house. Is it going to be a ranch? Is it a colonial? Like, what style of home do I want? Do I want a big home, a small home? Do I want a big yard, a small yard? How much maintenance do I want to deal with? Maybe I don't want to deal with a datement. Maybe I don't want to deal with any maintenance and just buy a condo. So a lot of questions to ask yourself. The better you can dial it down to what you want, the easier it'll be to make a decision once that property is presented to you. The more you're dialed in and focus on a certain type of property, the easy that decision will be to make when putting in an offer. And you'll feel more comfortable about putting in something that may be over ask, or you may be more comfortable waiving a contingency because your ideal property is in front of you. So kind of think about reverse engineering that process. All right. Do I want an investment property? Do I want to buy a duplex to just live in one unit and rent out the other side and offset the mortgage? Do I want a 3 to 4 unit? Maybe I'm living in one unit and I'm renting out the other three, and that's paying for my mortgage, paying for my car payment, and putting some money in my pocket every single month. That's my personal favorite style of real estate, is doing the house hack strategy. And we'll get into that again. Excuse me, I've gotten into that on other videos. Again, sorry, I digress. You know, do I want it in the city? Do I want parking? Do I need parking? Do I need a garage? All these things I would think about when you're looking for a home. And you obviously want to be realistic, right? Obviously, price, location, quality. You can usually have two of the three. You typically can't always have three. In some cases you can, but what's most important to you out of that triangle? Price, location, quality. Typically you can get high quality at a good price, but maybe the location's not so great, for you. Or maybe you love the location and you love the price, but the quality isn't there, right? You can usually get two of the three unless you have an unlimited budget. So just again, some more things to think about when you're developing that mindset to buy a piece of property. All right. So once you have your ideal location and style of property, and you got your goals and you've got your mindset all fixed, the next thing that I would personally do is reach out to an agent like me. All right. So reach out to me, say, hey, Sean, I'm ready to buy a house. I've got a good amount of money saved up. My credit score is great. And, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm living in this apartment. I want to buy my own home, and I'm ready. The rates are great. Let's take advantage of it. Great. So the next stop after talking to me is me facilitating you getting introduced to a lender. Now, again, when you work with Tori, when you work with me, and you work with our team of lenders, we pay for your closing costs. All right. There's some other criteria that have to be met, but majority of the time, we're going to pay for your closing costs. That typically saves you about 1% of your purchase price, which is huge. You buy a $700,000 house, and if you could save yourself around $7,000, wouldn't you do it? Especially in this market where you're usually paying at or over ask. I think it's a no-brainer. Again, so when I introduce you to a lender, you want to get pre-approved. And this is for two main reasons. Obviously, you need it to put in an offer, but more so, let's just say you have a number in mind and you say, all right, listen, I know that I can afford, a home of 700,000, right? I'm just throwing this number out there. You could go and get pre-approved with a lender and find out that you're eligible for more than that, which increases your options. Or on the flip side, maybe you go and get pre-approved with a lender and you can't afford as much as you thought. So if you're going to see places before you're pre-approved, maybe they're out of your price range, or maybe you can afford something nicer because your price range has increased. The second and more importantly reason to go and get pre-approved is really to know that you can pull the trigger. So if you're out, again, going to see places, and I know all agents won't do this, but, as long as you're serious, I'm willing to take you out and see places before you get that pre-approval letter, as long as you're within talks with a lender. As long as you're actually having a conversation with a lender and I know you're going to get pre-approved, I'm more than happy to take you out. And again, this is where I try to differentiate myself from the pack, and where Tori really tries to differentiate ourselves from the pack is that we provide that extra level of service that not all agents do. Some agents won't even talk to you until you're pre-approved. So with that being said, the second and more important reason why to go get pre-approved is that you can pull the trigger. You're at this open house. You love the house. You want the house. You're willing to, hand over your firstborn child for this house. Joking, of course. But you're not pre-approved. You can't put in an offer. Where the market is moving so fast, where there is no inventory, so to speak, already, houses aren't lasting past the first open house. See, what's happening is a house will come on the market. The agent will write in the, in the remarks on MLS, or the multiple listing service. If you don't know what that is, just think of like an internal form of Zillow or Realtor.com or somewhere like that. They will put in the remarks there, all showings deferred to the first open house, which is typically the first weekend. And then offers are due that Monday or Tuesday. So if you're going to an open house on Saturday and you don't have a pre-approval letter and you can't put in an offer, you're not getting the house. So it's almost like you're teasing yourself, and you're going into this place and you really want to buy it, but you can't because you can't put an offer without a pre-approval. So two big items of importance, of why you should get pre-approved before we go and see places. Again, obviously, where I'm separating myself from the pack and where Tori is that we're willing to at least, get the process started and get you excited about home buying and get a feel for the inventory. But you have to at least be in talks with a lender, okay? So the next thing after you get pre-approved is to go see some places, right? You're there, you're pre-approved, you got that letter, you know your exact budget, you know what you can afford. So I'm gonna put together a list of places that meets your criteria, that meets your list of items, like we talked at the beginning, what meets your goals to go see. So I'm going to send you that list. Maybe you already have your eyes on some things that you want to go see. Maybe we've already seen a couple and we've missed out because we weren't pre-approved. Well, now that you're pre-approved, we can go and pull the trigger. All right, so I'm going to take you out on places wherever you want to go. We're going to go see places, and I'm going to advise you, what the house is worth, how we should strategize going after it and putting in an offer and things like that. So, going back to what I said about being as competitive as possible and having your mind right, you obviously want to put in an offer on a home that you love to be as competitive as possible. So that doesn't necessarily mean throwing, your max budget at the house. What we're going to do to see how a property is appropriately priced is we're going to run comparable solds. So we're going to go back the last 3 months within, quarter-mile radius of that address, see what else is sold. Again, similar square footage, similar bathroom, similar beds, similar updates, and things like that. But the only thing that I'm going to add as a caveat here is that the market's changing so fast is that 3 months ago is already too old. So we're going to see what is sold recently in the area, with the same criteria. With that being said, if you love the home, you just got to be prepared to really put something in that, A, you obviously are comfortable with. I want you to be comfortable. But B, we want to beat the competition. So just be prepared to go in somewhere near ask with whatever home you see right now at the time of this recording. And also, again, to be as competitive as possible doesn't mean always the highest price. Now you can go at it with better terms. So if you can go in with better terms, and when I say terms, I mean, contingencies, right? There's a couple of different common contingencies, which a contingency is just like a term or stipulation that will bind you to that offer. Like this offer is void if X contingency isn't met. And the most popular example of contingency is inspection contingency, right? So I'm not going to proceed with this property or proceed with this offer on this property if I don't like the results of this inspection and we can't negotiate something before the purchase and sale. So when they do the home inspection, right, you're going to hire a professional inspector. Again, if you're working with me or working with Tori, we are going to schedule the inspection for you. Just one more service we offer. They're going to come in, they're going to check out the whole house, interior, exterior, plumbing, electrical, roof, all that good stuff. Anything that they can easily access, they're going to check for you, fill it out in a report and send it to you. Oftentimes, these inspections are a lot worse on paper than they are, as you're walking around with the inspector. So it'll raise a lot of concern when you see it online and like a document status, but when you're walking around, it's usually a lot of minor things. Now, again, that's not to say that some red flags can really appear, but most of the time it's a lot of minor stuff looking a lot worse than it is. So let's keep it moving. So, well, you might be asking yourself, well, Sean, if I want to make a competitive offer, why would I waive this home inspection? Why would I waive this to make myself more competitive when it's leaving me unprotected, right? And I 100% agree with you. I wouldn't want you to A, do something you're uncomfortable with, but B, obviously this home inspection is a layer of protection, right? You find something that you're uncomfortable with, you want to back out of the deal. Well, there's two things you can do to avoid this. If you want to waive your inspection, you can do that by doing a pre-inspection. Again, it's not as thorough as a regular home inspection may be, but it is going to allow you to go in a lot more confident knowing that there's nothing major going on. So if you waive your inspection contingency before you put in that offer saying that, you may want to do a pre-inspection. Again, not as thorough as a regular inspection, and it's going to be a little bit less expensive, but definitely worth it to give you that peace of mind. Now, number two, maybe you don't want to waive it. All right, maybe you want to still do this inspection after the offer is accepted. That's perfectly fine. What you can do to make yourself more competitive in this situation is to raise that inspection threshold, that inspection aggregate. All right, maybe you want to make it 10,000. Maybe you want to make it 15,000. I've done that for people in the past. All right, what this allows you to do is it allows you to go and see all this stuff, the whole house, interior, exterior, plumbing, electrical, all that good stuff. Maybe you're okay with some minor stuff being wrong. Um, maybe you want to add that layer of protection for yourself. If something big pops up, and that's exactly what it does for you. Having that high aggregate, allows you to back out of the deal if there's a huge expense that arises that you're not ready for. Um, However, if there are minor stuff, you obviously can't back out. Um, so I hope all that makes sense. All right, so we've done the inspection. You're happy, you know, we've waived it. So the next thing to do is to sign the purchase and sale, which is basically the purchase and sale agreement is basically what legally binds you to purchasing this property. Again, there's other contingencies you may have in there, like an appraisal or mortgage contingency if you're not paying cash. Um, Something to think about, obviously. As the deal goes on, after that purchase and sale is going on, you still have some time to get that mortgage fully underwritten. So that may be a contingency you want to keep. Um, a lot of times to avoid this, we've seen lenders that we work with at Tory do the full underwriting before before the offer is presented. So instead of just doing the pre-approval, which is basically like like a pre-authorization, right? Um, Based upon more evidence that the bank will need, you can do a full underwriting, basically get it approved of for the mortgage before um, before you make that offer. Now again, that's just one other thing you can do before you even go and see homes if you want to make sure that you can waive that mortgage contingency with confidence. So definitely something to consider. So now that we've signed the PNS, we're going to move on to the next half of the transaction, which I think that I'm going to just finish the whole thing here because I was going to plan on doing this for about a half hour, but we're at 27 minutes, or excuse me, 23 minutes right now. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish the whole entire process right now because I think I can fit it in 7 minutes. Because after the PNS is signed, it's really a lot of kind of waiting around. And I use that term loosely, waiting around, because you're doing stuff. The bank's going to request other documents. You're going to get with the attorneys, which we're going to handle that side of the transaction for you. We're going to make the introductions to the attorney, to the insurance personnel, and they may ask for some additional documentation to suit whatever needs that they need satisfied for their end of the transaction. But it's a lot of like little knick-knack stuff until the closing date, until we get that clear to close. So let's say you haven't been fully underwritten for the mortgage. The bank's going to want to see additional documents after the pre-approval, whether it be more bank statements, whether it be, a letter of explanation for different transactions. And I can dive deeper into that into another video. But yeah, it's really just all about getting to that closing date and making sure that nothing goes awry until then. Typically 30 to 45 days is how long it takes to get that clear to close. But again, it could be sooner if you're fully underwritten, if you've waived that inspection, or if you've waived the appraisal. And the appraisal, if you don't know what that is, it's just basically, someone coming in and saying that the property is worth the purchase price. If you do have appraisal contingency in there that you have, they may, if the property doesn't appraise for the for the purchase price, that gives you a way to back out of the deal. So again, yeah, just another layer of protection, but definitely can be waived to make yourself more competitive, especially if you have other contingencies in place where you know that you can back out. If you go in with an offer, you may, be comfortable waiving one and not another, but that may in the long run make you a little bit more competitive. So again, just to kind of recap everything, um, you know, get the right mindset. Know that you're going to go in there into a fast moving market. So speed is key. You want to move fast. Um, Figure out exactly what you want. That way, you're super comfortable putting in an offer. Uh, again, what style house do I want? What are some of the features I want? All that good stuff, like I talked about at the beginning. Get an agent, someone like me or someone else at Tory. We're going to introduce to your lender. You're going to get pre-approved. We're going to go take you out to see stuff. You're going to put in an offer that you're A, most comfortable with, but B, most competitive, highest price, relative to the value of the property with, you know, maybe a couple contingencies in there, maybe some voided. Again, it's going to depend on how much and how badly you want the property. Obviously, we're not going to advise you to do anything you don't want to do, that you're not super comfortable with, but we're obviously going to give our advice to make you as competitive as possible. So once the offer gets accepted, depending on what contingencies you put in there, is going to be the next step. Maybe it's inspection, maybe we get appraised. We're doing other things to get the mortgage fully underwritten. And then we get that, we're kind of doing little things until we get the clear to close. Again, maybe the bank is requesting some additional documents, like I was saying earlier, bank statements, letter of explanation maybe. And then that's it. Then we get to closing day. We're going to do a final walkthrough the day before, make sure everything's to your satisfaction through the property. And then we're going to go to close, and you're going to get a good wrist workout. Yeah, you're going to sign your life away. I've been through this a couple of times. It is definitely, it's a lot. It's a lot of signing your names, but you're going to have a real estate attorney there the whole time, walking you through, making sure you're understanding everything that you're signing, and they're there to work for you. All right, so make sure if you have any questions up until that day you're signing your name that you ask them, because once it's in the ink, it's finalized. So make sure they're there to help, so make sure you utilize them. So for sure want to make as many use of the people you're paying for as you can. So that's pretty much it. So again, just a shameless plug here at the end. Obviously, when you work with Tory and the Tory team, either myself or another one of the great agents in the office, and you use our lenders, we pay for your closing costs, which again is around about 1% of your purchase price typically. Again, that can vary, and there's some other criteria that have to be met. But obviously, we're here to help first and foremost. We want you to meet your real estate goals, whatever they may be. And we got a team of dedicated staff to help you do that. So I hope you found this useful. I hope this makes you a lot more comfortable with the home buying process here in Massachusetts. And, if there's any other questions that I can answer for you, please feel free to reach out. You can email me, text me, call me anytime, and I'm more than happy to help. Even if you don't live in Massachusetts and I can offer any advice off the record for another state, happy to do so. Or if you're in California, Bay Area, LA, we got awesome agents over there, awesome teams over there that can definitely help you out. And we're going to be opening up in more markets to come. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Again, make sure you subscribe to my channel, to Tori's channel, and we're going to be with you every step of the way to meet your real estate goals. So thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I will catch you next time. Signing off.